Well, welcome everyone to the first edition of the 2025 year Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. And Melissa and I are excited to be here with you all. We're just playing around with some of the new features here that allow us to showcase the circles. But we're excited to be here for our first event of 2025 on this new format. For those of you watching, obviously we are doing it live from Restream, but you're probably watching us on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Do me a favor, in the comments, let us know where you're watching from, what city, state, country. Also, let us know if you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We're curious. But I'm excited about this topic today. It's not too late to set your goals for 2025. It's never too late. You know, in life, people start things late in life, whether they start going back to school at age 50 or they start working on their health at age 50. It's same thing with your goals. Just because January 1st passed, it doesn't mean it's too late. So Melissa and I are here to talk about that. But Melissa, how are you doing today? Good morning. Oh, Melissa just sent me a message that she is having issues and she spilt water on her laptop. Okay, so we'll come back to Melissa in a minute here. In the meantime, let me turn on my camera here. Just want to welcome everyone here. I hope everyone's having a great day. And oops. Let me change that back here. There we go. And, you know, I just wanted to let everyone know that we really appreciate everyone joining us today. If you are joining us live, put in the comments that you're watching Team Live. If you are watching Team Replay, put that in the comments as well. And it's great to see Jamie and Jackie and April already here. Good morning to you all. And let me see who else do we have here. Oh, we have Adrian and we have April. Okay, so thank you all for the early birds for coming. We appreciate you. Melissa will be back any second here. You know, these audio events are meant to be, you know, mostly audio. So as we invite you up on stage later on, it's going to be optional if you want to have your video on. Some rooms we're going to say absolutely not. Here we are not looking to make you feel uncomfortable. We want to go back to the audio. One of the reasons that I turned on the video today was, you know, for those of you that are sports fans and are watching football right now, you know that we're in the playoffs, and you know my team, the Washington team that I grew up winning Super Bowls in the 80s and 90s, have not won a Super Bowl since 1991. This is probably the best team that they've had since 1991. Okay, that's like over 30 years, y'all. So that's too long of a wait for me. So I'm very excited. For those of you out there that are fans of the Washington football team, let me know. If you're a Ravens fan or you're a Chiefs fan, let me know in the comments what football team is your favorite team, because I'm just curious to know who do you out there that are football fans. Sometimes we have those fans that get into it towards the end of the season, like, oh, it's playoffs and Super Bowl, or it's the Final Four in basketball, or it's the World Cup in soccer. But it's a great way to connect. It's a great way to know each other. And they clearly have set goals to win the playoffs, Super Bowl. So I'm sure they have a strategy around this. We're still waiting for Melissa. I hope her laptop. Oh, wait, there she is. I was getting worried that her laptop got crushed. Houston, are you okay? How's your laptop? Houston, you there? All right, we can't hear you, just so you know. But thank you, Adrian, for the Commanders. Okay, Gregory, do not mention the Cowboys. I mean, okay, you can mention the Cowboys, actually. I actually respect Cowboys and the Commanders. Washington and Dallas have always been huge rivals as far back as I can remember. And so that's been one of those things that we enjoy to be rivals. You know, it's nothing personal. It's more just good, healthy rivalry. For you Philadelphia fans, I just don't like Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sorry. I've gone to stadium games there. It is not fun. So, but enough about that. Let's talk about goal setting. Melissa Houston, are you back? Oh, we lost her again. All right. Well, listen, as we're talking about this, I just want to share a few things. Oh, the Lions are doing amazing too. You're right. And it's been a long time since they've won. And, oh, Gregory is talking a little smack. So I do like that everyone's engaging. So it's great to see people engage about that. Keep on sharing the comments where you're watching from, and we'll share the link to join the room in a minute. But as far as quick introductions, oh wait, we have Miss Houston back here. Let's see. Miss Houston, are you back?
Oh man, it's gonna be a morning, guys. My laptop is so mad at me right now. I totally it was a couple of driplets of water, but it was just enough to set my touch screen on fire, and now everything's mad. And yeah, bye.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm glad that you. It was just a few droplets and not a whole spill. Tracy had mentioned the Texans. Yes, I will say kudos to the Texans. However, Texas didn't do too well for college football against Ohio State, who did win the Cotton Bowl and is going to be playing Notre Dame next week. So kudos to Ohio State and the Ohio State fans. OH. My daughter and my wife both are alumni from there. So I wasn't a huge college football fan until I met them, but now I am. All right. So enough about that. Miss Houston, would you please do me the honor of introducing yourself to these wonderful people that are here with us today?
Hey guys, it's me, Melissa Houston, cultivator, dreams motivator of human capital. And what that means is I help people figure out what they want to do, what passion, what fun is waiting inside, and I pull it out of them. We do that with action plans, good to-do list, accountability, and sometimes an eyebrow, which I'm totally giving my laptop right now. So while I'm busy doing that, why don't you go check out documentthenAct.com to learn more and message me if you want to be friends. Let's connect. We could do all of that. Thanks, Felipe.
You're welcome. And as we're playing around with a few features here, we do have this wonderful feature here of Melissa's website. So if you have interest in scheduling a call with her, just scan that QR code and you can schedule a call with her. And as far as, let me get back to myself here and change back the screen. There we go. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofiño. I am a passionate HR executive, career coach, LinkedIn enthusiast. I've been on LinkedIn for 17 years, and it's just been an amazing journey. And one of the great things about it has been building meaningful connections and finding ways to give back and share knowledge the way that Melissa and I do here. Melissa is a phenomenal coach. She has helped me over the years. I hope that I've helped her. I don't know. She can tell you. I'm not going to make assumptions, but at the end of the day, it's about making those meaningful collaborations and also finding ways to give back and share the knowledge so that others can benefit from what you've learned. So that's one of our major goals here. I do work at PRB, which stands for Population Reference Bureau. It's a nonprofit that does amazing work out there, helping people kind of predict the future with data out there and making an impact around things with homelessness, aging, fertility, climate, reproductive health, all these topics are so important, and not just in the US, but globally. So if you have interest in joining the PRB team, let me just share real quick. There's a QR code there. We do have some openings for the business development team there that we're trying to grow and enhance. So I do have a post on my page. Feel free to scan the QR code if you want to check out some of the openings if you are interested in business development specifically. But with that being said, Miss Houston, I'm going to let you go first. What are your thoughts about goal setting? I know that we've talked about this in the past. I know that we've mentioned different strategies. And for those of you that are new to our show, you may wonder why we had the word chaos in our title. It's because Melissa and I like to have fun. We like to share some great strategies, but our strategies may not be the same path. It might get you to the same destination and achieve the same goals, but we may have different opinions about how to get there. I might have a little bit leaning towards a little more of the corporate. She might be more of the entrepreneur side, and then things that we meet in the middle. And that's the great thing about it. But we have fun debating whose path is better, and we have some fun. So if we get into our bickering, it's like brother-sister bickering. That's what it's all about. But with that, Melissa, what are your thoughts about goal setting? How would you recommend people to start if they have not had a chance to start doing any planning at all for 2025 and they already feel like they're behind the 8 ball?
Oh, okay. So I got to tell you, I don't like it on my cell phone as much as I do the laptop, guys. So just there's that. But this is such an important question because I think everybody gets really excited December 31st to start fresh, right? Everybody likes that clean notebook pad And I think that's kind of the mindset you got to harness no matter what time of year it is. And for me, that means time management before anything else. There's a reason I didn't do all the things I said I was going to do last year. And so I assess, what am I up to? What is really important right now? What matters? Good, bad, ugly, what's taking my time? And, we've talked journal prompts before a couple of times, and it's not much different. The way I use that Venn diagram is the same. It's, what am I doing with my time? What can I shift? What can I automate? What could I pay somebody else to do if I can fill it with something that has more ROI? But it's time management 101. And then the next thing is, what you want to do more of, right? But why? And so once you have the time, why do you want to fill your schedule again? And really being accountable for why you're adding more to your to-do list, I think is the first step after assessing how much time you have to formulate a goal. And so for me, it's actually backwards, right? I don't sit down and do the to-do list first. I do the what am I up to now list and then grow from there. And I think the time management aspect is something a lot of people miss when we're talking about goal setting. And so I wanted to bring that today because you can make as many goals, as you want this year. You can make a to-do list every day, but if you don't have time to tackle it, it doesn't matter. It just becomes a dream list, right? A dream board, a motivational idea, but it really isn't anything actionable. And so for me, time management 101, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this before we dive in more.
Well, I love what you said about time management. I think I gotta say thank you to Adrian for saying good luck to Commanders. I appreciate that, and to Gregory for saying good luck against Tampa Bay. It should be a good game. It's not until 8 o'clock tonight. But anyways, I love what you said, because time management is a huge thing. People so often tend to think that, oh, I'll just get to it when I get to it. But if you are not planning, if you don't write things down and plan things out, your to-do list, your goals, you're less likely to achieve them. For me, not only are you less likely to achieve them, you're depriving yourself from that sense of accomplishment. And that's the motivational thing that really drives people, is that sense of accomplishment when you complete things. So that's why it's so important to have that time management, so you can plan your day, stay organized, and make sure that you are making time for the goals that you want to create. So for me, here's my thing. I'm going to share Felipe's 5, like I always share, and then Melissa and I will share what we agree with and what we don't agree with. But one thing that I will continue to share, and people will say that they are passe, that they're corporate, but at the end of the day, it's a tool that I use that works, and it's the SMART test. Passing any goal that you create through a SMART test. Because the reason why this is my first tip of Felipe's 5 is because whenever you create a goal, there's nothing worse than working towards a goal and then halfway through it, you're like, oh crap, we didn't think about this in the beginning. Now we have to go back and start some parts all over. You don't want to do that. By running it through the SMART test, it just kind of checks off to make sure you've thought of everything, so that you can start working on the goal from the best place possible. So all the SMART test does is it makes sure that the goal is specific and not too general. It makes sure that it's measurable. M is for measurable, that you have a way to track it and measure that you're making progress. The A is for achievable, to make sure that it's a realistic, achievable goal. The R is for relevant, making sure that it's a relevant goal to what you need and what you're trying to work towards. And then the T is for timely or time bound. Are you going to be able to do it in the time frame that you want to get it done in? So that's all it does, is it makes you think about those things. And if any of those answers are no, then you need to go back and rethink it. So that's probably the longest one I'm going to spend on Felipe's 5. The other ones are going to be very quick. The second one is about documenting techniques for your goals. Whether it's for a team or individual. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. The second one is goal best practices. So, and this applies for team or goal oriented, individual or team oriented goals. So some best practices are collaboration. If other people have similar goals or aspirations or passions, get them involved. Check and regularly review your goals. People tend to think and forget about them until the end of the year. No, do a regular check-in, monthly, quarterly, weekly if you want. And then have clear responsibilities to those that are a part of your team or that are helping you. Make sure that they understand what your deadlines are and what you need from them so they can help. That is really important. Those are best practices, but it comes down to communication. The third thing is documenting your techniques for your goals, whether it's journaling, mind mapping, goal statements. If you want a vision board, find a way to document what you're doing to keep you focused, to keep your thoughts clear, to know what the challenge is, to give you those visual representations of where you're headed, and again, to keep you motivated. All right. The fourth one is tracking tools for your goals. If you're a project manager, you already got tools that you can use. Utilize them for your personal goals. But if you're not, a simple spreadsheet is all you need. It works great. But if you want to be a little more savvy, there are so many goal tracking apps that you can download on your phone that will help you track your goals. So find a way to don't just have them on Post-its all over the place. Have a way to have them tracked somewhere that you can update, make notes to it, things of that sort. And then the last one, self-accountability strategies. Find a way to hold yourself accountable, because don't rely on other people to hold yourself accountable. Do it yourself. So do routine reflections, have an accountability partner. I can say, hey, Houston, every week when we talk, ask me about where I am on my goals. Just call me out. And if I said I was going to do this by next week and I didn't do it, just call me out. And have a reward system. Say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out and celebrate by having dinner tonight, take my wife out to dinner, or I'm going to go out and get myself a Starbucks, or whatever it is, or I'm going to take a break and watch a TV show and just binge a stupid show and take a mental break. That reward is something that keeps you sustainable. So again, please make sure that you all try to think about that, find ways that work for you. These are just my top 5 that have worked for me that I like to share. And so I wanted to give that opportunity. So Miss Houston, you went back in here. Let me bring you back up. There you are. What are your thoughts about Felipe's 5, and what other things would you recommend for people? And as we're doing that, I'm going to put the link in the comments, you all. So as you all have interest in joining this conversation and sharing what's worked for you or questions about what we've shared, please come on up and let us know.
Okay, so ask the questions again, because I got lost in your other stuff after you asked the questions. I was following along.
So no, my question was, what are your thoughts about my Felipe's 5? If you have any questions about, a different path that you would take or something you would do differently, or do you have additional things you wanted to add to it?
No, I mean, I think SMART goals are fine. We've done the show on it and we went back and forth. And reality is, I think SMART goals make sense, but some of them don't, right? I'm not going to say my goal is to get the groceries from the trunk to the house and sit down and make a 5-point plan for that. So it depends on how many steps are in this plan. How much support do you really need to get it done? Is it quick and actionable in less than 5 minutes, or is it something that's going to take more visits, right? So first, determine how much time it's going to take. And if it takes more time to plan the meeting than to do the meeting and get the info, make it an email, right? Or just make it a quick thought to-do list and just hold it in your brain and don't write it down and just get it done. But I think when they matter, right? For me, I said time management is my first step, and I want to lead to a goal that I'm working on currently. So for me, time management got away a little bit. I've been working multiple facets of life, right? Business. Here, I do LinkedIn stuff. I'm also running a retail environment. We're killing it in my store. We're just leading the pack in a lot of ways. Statistically, bike night growth grew. So that means community engagement is up. We were number 2 in the nation for that in October. That's huge for the Pacific Northwest, little dot right under Canada. We don't really have a huge motorcycle community, but we do, right? And so it's been fun. I've been working on that, but then I'm also focusing on the team there. We've had some losses within the team. We're going through some bereavement stuff, transitions, filling new, onboarding training. We're optimizing inventory prep. Guys, this is a lot of stuff, but then you go to my house and my husband's been going through it with his blood pressure. You can imagine, he's married to me. It's probably tested quite a bit, Felipe. And truth be told, it's been a longstanding issue we're working with, but he's been going through some stuff that made me stress a little. He's been seeing doctors more often than normal. That's been making me stress. And some of it's been impromptu visits to the ER. So all of that to say, time management is hard when you have so many things you're juggling. However, the thing that was suffering because I wasn't on top of my schedule And the way I'm normally on top of it was my diet. And so I was taking food fast. I was making poor choices. I was eating with my younger co-workers. We would have gummy bears and all of the fun stuff. And guys, I was gaining weight. It wasn't a lot of weight, okay, just a few pounds, but I could feel the difference in my body that I was not treating it well. So, in essence of all of the things I've just shared with you, the things I've been personally struggling with, I went into meal prep again. Because even fast food's not fast if you have to take 10 minutes to leave to go get it, or if you pay way too much to have somebody else leave their house to go get it for you. I went to the store, bought a couple of petite steaks. They were on sale. I don't usually hang out in the steak section, if I'm being honest with you. It's not my first thought. I'm a big chicken fan. But I did go over there and I checked them out for $10. I ate steak a few days in a row. It was glorious. I was less hungry. I am down 8.2 pounds as of yesterday. I did not weigh in today because I didn't want to. But guys, time management, 12 days, 8.5 pounds almost, right? Because I slowed down enough to say, how can I take care of me better? And I'm already seeing results. I did not run a SMART goal. I did not set an end date because this is not something I want to end ever, right? So maybe it was an automatic setting in that SMART goal that it's a lifetime choice. Let's just all forever until death. But that's something you guys got to figure out for you. And what is that plan? Because I can get the groceries, no problem, to the house without a SMART goal. Like it's smart just to take that investment into the fridge. But what does it mean when you set a goal and why? And what is the ripple there? And why does it really matter? And do you know I'm less stressed when I'm at work now because I'm not hungry. I'm not even sugared up and then crashing in a way that, sugar does. And so just think through those things. I think that's what came up for me, Felipe, and that's my share. Like I didn't have any plans to lose weight until I went, I just don't feel great. It's not necessarily that I needed to. I just didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. And so that was a choice I made for me, starting with time management.
So I love that you shared that. I think that you make a great point about a few things. One is the day-to-day things. Like I'm not a fan of, and no disrespect to people who do this, but when I go on vacation, if my entire vacation is planned out hour by hour, that to me is not a vacation. That is work. Okay. I want to be able to have moments of spontaneity. I want to be able to relax. I want to be able to do activities. However, the SMART goals are not for bringing the groceries or for planning your vacation necessarily. It's meant for those big ones that are triggering you and you're waiting on, whether it's weight, financial, a big project. And I'm curious for people in the audience, what is one goal that you're working on this year? What's one goal that you want to achieve that is something that has been weighing on you, or it's a little bit bigger than your typical goal? I'll share that, one of mine, because of wonderful Nick, the bipolar writer that got me involved as a co-author in 2 different books here, along with Melissa Houston, made me start thinking about writing. I never thought of that as a goal. I never had that as a goal of mine in all my life. And now one of my goals this year is to finally write the children's book that I promised myself when my daughter was born 25 years ago. And I've already written it out. Here's the cover. I don't know if you can see it. It's Max and Miranda. It's called Backyard Adventures. And so the illustration is where I'm working on right now. But I set myself a SMART goal for that. I have 2 other SMART goals I have for this year. One's around my health, and the other is around my professional growth and upskilling in my field. So here's the thing I did, and a little tip for all of you all. If you actually have goals and you're like, I just don't know how to plan it out, I don't know how to create the goal for the year and create actionable steps, ChatGPT is your friend, y'all. You have your goal. I have my goal. I want to finish my children's book. Here's what I've done so far. Here's when I want to get it done by. Help me create a plan to complete this project by this due date with these action steps that need to get completed. And it created a wonderful, and I said, please create a SMART plan for this. And it said, okay, here's your specific plan. Here's your measurable steps. Here's your action steps. And it laid it out really nicely for me. So if you're even questioning, I don't know about SMART plans, let ChatGPT do it for you and see if it works, because it will make a difference. So, Houston, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, yeah. What do you want me to add? I don't know. I'm watching you on camera going, look at his shirt. What is this? Washington. It's the wrong Washington, bro.
No, it's not. It is the Washington. Because Washington State doesn't have a football team.
Notice you said state. That's respect on my name. You don't have that for you. You guys are your own little territory. You're so cute. All right, let's bring some friends up. Let's talk about other people's goals. Because I see it.
Team's located in Maryland, technically, so don't talk smack.
I know, so they don't even represent their own town. They should flip that W upside down and say Maryland. It's not Washington. Okay. Listen, look, let's talk about these comments that I'm seeing.
All right, comment.
Let's get on focus. Like, this is about coaching them and us and goals. And my goal is to, yeah.
Well, it's been the first half hour of our room, so this is what we do. And then the link is in the comments, you all, so feel free to join us on stage. Oh, I think somebody did. All right, we have Cedric on stage here. I'm going to go back to the blocks. I like the blocks better. So Cedric, thank you for joining us on stage. Please unmic and share your thoughts about this topic and goal setting. Cedric, you might have to allow your mic, your laptop or your phone to have access to your mic. Just like on LinkedIn audio, you might have to leave, restream, and come back in and try it because it has to ask you to give access to your mic if you don't have access. So, all right, well, let's go back to the comments here while we wait. And let me see here if I can do this right. All right, so we have Gregory, who thinks that Jerry Jones needs to go. And there hasn't been a successful year since Jimmy Johnson was fired. That's how I feel about the Commanders. It's been too long, and it's about time. And then Carolyn's giving some love to Nick. And I think Nick has changed a lot of people's lives there, Carolyn, so you're not alone. Carolyn's saying that she can't wait to figure out what the goals are or should be. What if health issues consume your life? That's an important question. You know, that's something that it's taken me a long time to appreciate the phrase, take it day by day. And I think that when you have something that's all consuming, whether it's your own health issues, you're taking care of an elderly parent, you have a sick child, or you just have a young child that is just consuming your life daily, you just kind of find those windows of opportunity saying, okay, I'm going to set my daily goal to have 10 minutes to myself where I can take a nap, go for a walk, or maybe it's half hour to yourself to watch a TV show. But it's creating those micro goals, because that's a really important thing, Carolyn, you just brought up there that I don't think a lot of people realize is that the micro goals, when you just don't have the bandwidth to set larger time for your goals. And that's the reality for a lot of people's lives, is that we're just too busy and we can't have the time that we would like. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's up to you to make the time. And that's why in someone's case where it's all consuming, you can make time for those micro moments. And it's just, it might be a little challenging, but it's definitely something there. Houston, any comments about that? Because I know that's an important thing that I know you could probably relate to at some level.
Yeah. So Carolyn, I know we've kind of chatted on this, or, you know, in rooms or threads before, but I think it's important, especially as somebody who suffers from osteoarthritis, guys. I could get my blue little window placard to park in the front row for the rest of my life at any moment I ask. But what I did find when I wasn't where I am today, because there was a period of my life where I was at home, I was staying, just taking care of my kiddo, my health consumed me, and the small things of, did you shower today? Did you do one load of laundry? Did you do one thing differently than yesterday? And that's why I preach it today, is because really, and this leads back to Nick, right? Nick has some ideas coming that we'll be talking about some of this diagnosis of mine and others maybe in the future. But I was told when my son was 2 that I had 10 years to walk. My son is 24, going to be 25 this year. That means I have beat every expectation, right? But it took small wins every day. It went from being bedridden practically all the time in pain to, okay, we are going to walk for 10 minutes a day together on purpose, just down to the park. I will sit on the bench and then we'll walk back. Then we'd walk a little further. Then we'd walk a little further. Then we did walks down to the pet store. And I'm not saying that's everybody's option, right? But walking for me was a hurdle. And so I would take one step at a time, just like Felipe did, a little bit at a time on micro win. But it started with a fresh shower, fresh laundry, doing that one load of dishes, making sure I meal prepped so I didn't have to cook tomorrow, so the cooking pain didn't happen. Like, these are ideas that are not fresh. I'm just applying them in new ways to my life today, but it's the same story I've always had. So Carolyn, time assess. Why are you seeing the doctor? What can you do to prevent the issues? If there's nothing, how can you reduce the side effects, right? The inflammations, the flare-ups, the pain. I know they say don't eat sugar if you have arthritis because it increases inflammation. Same with cheese. I'm a big fan of cheese. So I have to make the choice, which one hurts more? Not having cheese or eating cheese and walking with pain. And I'm not saying for sure that the cheese is a big factor, but I have reduced my dairy and I do feel a little bit lighter today. I am also losing weight, so I am lighter, but it's those small wins first. Celebrate just brushing your teeth. Celebrate taking that time outside for 10 minutes on the porch. Don't even walk yet, right? Mike Phillips of the Marketing Muscle, Felipe, he talks about when he was recovering from an injury and wanted to work out, he would just go sit in the gym. He would wake up and be accountable for the gym time. Even if he wasn't exercising yet, he was mentally in the gym. He would go and just be there. And that's huge, guys. So even if you can't act on it yet, get in the room you want to be in. Start figuring out what you can do, small ways to make it easier, because time management first, fixing the problems where they are to not have to react to the problems is huge. And then owning your situation and then figuring out how to do it in spite of would be my next step.
Okay, that was powerful. And I'm putting a link in here as a reminder to join us on stage. But you mentioned, first of all, I want to go back to, again, emphasizing the micro goals. Even if you have a goal that you set for the year that you think is achievable, break it down into smaller goals so that you feel like you're accomplishing things throughout the year. But I want to remind people, Melissa and I, we got to where we are today because we've set goals for ourselves. 10 years ago, I set a goal that I think I want to start creating content. 5 years ago, when I was attending LinkedIn audio rooms in Clubhouse, I said, I think I want to start hosting rooms. And then about 4 years ago, I'm like, I think I want to start collaborating more with people on audio rooms. And those thoughts, I just started writing them down. I don't have some master book of all my goals that are on shelves or in files. I've just focused on them and made them my priority and did things to keep them in the forefront of my mind throughout the year. And one of the easiest ways is by documenting them. If you need to document in writing, on digital, visual, vision boards, all those things help. Now, the other thing is, you brought up an excellent point about your health. And I think that, to Carolyn's point, when you have health issues that are consuming, guess what? Your goals are going to be health related, just like you described, Melissa, that you did little mini goals to help you walk more, and look at you today. It reminded me back when one of the things that really drove my wellness initiatives in the workplace was when one of my old jobs had a wellness program that was not done great, but it motivated me a little bit. And I remember I needed 25 more points to get my discount, and my eye exams were 25 points, and I hadn't got an eye exam that year. Ran out real quick, got the eye exam. The doctor's like, you need to go see an optometrist. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'll go schedule one next week. He's like, no, you need to go this week because you might go blind in your left eye if you don't get it checked out right away. And he freaked me out. I went, long story short, did this whole test with like dye in my veins through my entire body. And he goes, don't worry, there's only a 5% chance that people go into cardiac arrest when we do this. But it was for him to see that I had a bubble of liquid in my eye that was causing my retina to separate, which would have caused me to become blind and lose my eye. And found out that this was all due to stress, that job was a very bad job. Fast forward 3 months later, I went back and he's like, what did you do? What doctor did you go see? I'm like, no one. He goes, your eyes almost healed. What have you changed? And the only thing that I changed was I had changed jobs and the stress had reduced dramatically. I loved my job. And I still had to work on things to reduce my stress, though. I still had to come up with things to help me manage my stress better, because if not, I still would risk losing my eye. I had to go to appointments every month to check to make sure that it wasn't getting worse. So if I wasn't doing those exercises, if I wasn't practicing stress reducing methods, it would have made it worse. So when we have a health issue, our goal priorities should be us and our health. So we have some people that have joined us here on stage. Let's bring them up here. We have Carolyn who's come up. Actually, we have Carolyn who's come up twice. I don't know which one is. Carolyn, can you hear us? All right, let me check the other Carolyn here. Carolyn, can you hear us on that one? Right. Carolyn, you're on stage. I don't know if you can hear us, but I'm not getting any audio from either one of your things. Melissa, are you here?
Can you hear
Oh, there
me?
you are.
Okay, mute one of them though. One of them needs to be shut down, I think.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I think I did twice.
Yeah, I'll take one down. Hold on 1 second. All right, try now.
There.
Well, welcome on stage.
I can hear you.
And thank you for sharing that great question. Please,
let's see here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go for it.
All right, Carolyn, we can't hear you now.
Oh,
there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I think she has a delay, Felipe. I think she's waiting to hear it on LinkedIn, but her microphone is there, and so just give her a second.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I appreciate you letting me come up. And for me, it's oh no. Okay. So right now, thanks, Melissa.
Carolyn, lower your volume on.
It's a complete shutdown, I think, of my.
Okay, here's what's happening, Carolyn, and you're not going to hear it for a second, but you are hearing your replay. So just ignore you hearing the show and just speak to it. Turn down your computer so you don't have to listen in and just talk to us. I know it's confusing.
So for me, it has to do with my. There. Is that better? Or?
Yep, go for it.
Okay. Can you is this better that you can hear me? Okay, I think. Okay. So and thank you for helping me with that. For me, it's I had some pretty bad news. Guess it was last week. And the news is that my brain isn't working right. So it's my brain. And when I say consumed with my okay. So for me, it's my brain. And I don't know that very many people I don't have the ability to do things that, like when I say consumed, I'm talking 100%. And uh, I have I have a problem with one of my eyes. That's my left eye, and it was weird that Felipe said that about his, but I I've got problems with my vision. I'm losing my vision, and I actually feel like a complete failure for everything. And I have I have to talk to my long-term disability people because I can't go on anymore. And I feel like an absolute failure. And I know what Melissa was talking about, like goals, doing your laundry and, getting up. And for me, it's just getting up. And I end up just, I've got more tears than I've ever had in my entire life. And I do feel like a failure. And because I can't do what I was doing. And in early December, my husband ended up having a triple heart bypass, which was unexpected. We had no idea. He's doing well. Uh, we lost our first granddaughter at the beginning of November. She passed away. And uh, it's just been kind of one thing after the other. And I really am not feeling sorry for myself. It isn't that. It's just that my brain doesn't work the way it should. So I appreciate the fact that being able to share, and uh, I am at that point. I think you know of giving up, and that sounds horrible, but when you can't find the road anymore and you can't find the purpose, it just doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to share that, and I appreciate you letting me share.
Carolyn, can I say first of all, you're not a failure, okay? Please try to change that self talk because you're not a failure. You've had life challenges that have been thrown your way, and it's more than the average person takes on. And the fact that you're still here and you're still plugging away says a lot about how much you've been able to handle. But that's why we said earlier, sometimes when life throws so much at you, you have no choice but take it day by day. And it's one day at a time because we can't focus on negativity of the future of what possibly could come. We can't focus on what we can't change in the past. When you're in that mindset, focusing on today and what you can control is probably gonna give you the best thing. And getting up, taking a shower, going for that walk, or reading, or calling that friend or family member and having that conversation with them. Setting those kind of goals to get you through the day can be something that sometimes we're not ready to move forward. We just need to get through the day. And that's okay for a short period of time when you have so much. Because eventually, when things get thrown at us, that final straw that breaks the camel's back, it hits us. But just because someone falls and fumbles doesn't mean they failed. It just means that we have to get back up, and sometimes everyone deserves a little help getting back up. So I hope that you give yourself a little bit of compassion and grace and realize that you have not failed, that you have just been challenged with a lot of insanely difficult things that happen to you. And my heart and my prayers go out to you. And I just want you to know that we're here for you to support you any way we can. And thank you for being so vulnerable. Melissa, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Carolyn, listen, number one, thank you for being here today. It's tough. I've been there. And honestly, you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself. And anybody who doesn't agree with that, please unfollow me right now. You can leave the restream and do it. Keep following Felipe if you want, but you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself because it's an emotion that we need to process. There is a reason we feel sorry. And in your case, losing a grandbaby, you have every right to be defeated in that. I am a grandmother. I understand. I understand loss, not in that way, but I understand if I had to apply that Venn diagram circle to that concept in my life, it's in my voice. I can feel it. I couldn't imagine. So for you being here, like Felipe said, I am incredibly proud of you. And I think you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself, but don't stay there. right? Because if that's your granddaughter, that means there's a child of yours who needs strength right now too. And I'm sure you're bringing that forward. I know enough about Carolyn based on what I've engaged with on the internet to know you're strong, and you have something that, in my belief system, God wants you to do here, or He would have already taken you home. And so, even if you don't know what it is yet, my favorite way to start my day when I'm unsure, even when I'm feeling sorry for myself, especially when I'm feeling sorry for myself, and I was a lot after my fiance passed. I think my prayer just became then, God, do what you want with my life. You're gonna anyway. And I use that tone, and maybe even a more ruthless tone when I talk to him. I was angry, and my Bible study leader told me, he's big enough to handle your anger, Miss Ma'am. Do whatever you need, but just don't stop talking to him. So that's the other thing I would add. And if you're not a faithful person, that's cool. Do talk to the universe, manifest, talk to yourself, get clear. I don't care. But I pray for him to show me what I'm supposed to be doing every day, because I don't have a plan every day, guys. I do have goals. I do have an outline of what I know is going to have to happen, right? I should brush my teeth. That's definitely on my list every day. But beyond that, I really open up a lot of space for life to happen, good, bad, and ugly. And I just appreciate that you're still showing up, like Felipe said, the fact that you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself. And even if you don't have the capability to go for the walk every day, or maybe you can't do certain things you could do before and you want to, man, do I understand that, because I used to be able to clean my house in an afternoon, and now I have to plan a few afternoons because my body reaches a limit. Different limits, different ceilings. But right now, I'm just glad you're still owning your truth. You're showing up today. I want to see you again tomorrow. And tomorrow, I'm going to tell you the same thing again. And I hope everybody listening is going to tell Carolyn tomorrow. We want to see her again tomorrow, and keep that pattern going with people you care about who are struggling, because it is hard. So Carolyn, that is my share. That is my thank you. I just want to tell you, I appreciate you, because there's a lot of people out there dealing with stuff bigger than the average, right? Some of these things all happen at once, and it shouldn't all happen at once, but sometimes they do. And so thank you for allowing us to know so we can support you more effectively. Felipe, back to you.
Well, thank you. And Carolyn, thank you again for being so vulnerable. I hope you feel the support, and I hope you know that, you're not alone. A lot of people are struggling, and people in the comments are supporting you. So please, know that you definitely have support, and you have a great support person in Melissa, no doubt. All right, I'm going to carefully move you back into the green room, and want to encourage people to come up and join us on stage and share. Want to make sure we share some of the comments here also that we've had from Jamie. It says it's very important to watch health throughout, and that is the right thing. Don't make it just like a monthly, 1 month thing. Work on it throughout the year. Maria, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming. Dr. Marcia, thank you for coming. April, I love that you are scaling your consulting services as one of your goals. Maria, you're scaling your business as well, finishing your book, and strength training 3 times a week. I love that. And that's just get 3 realistic, feasible goals. Jackie's saying she's not going to lie. It's odd to see one host go on video during an audio style event. Sorry, I threw you
Thank
off.
you. I agree. I think it's such an odd thing, guys. I want to know what your feelings are. Do you think it's weird? Because
this bothers you, then you're saying, Houston, right? It bothers you.
well, I
right?
mean, we said we were going to keep it audio. And so when you come on video, I even told Felipe, I was like, you didn't say camera, because guys, my camera's still not on my laptop. And then I spilled water on it. And you think I want to be on camera spilling water? This is just more confirmation from God showing me the signs I prayed for, Felipe, that I should not be on camera on a Sunday.
No, I think one of your goals this year is to treat your equipment a little bit better, because clearly your equipment is crying out for help. Okay.
My equipment and I have been together for a long time.
And they are asking for a little TLC. Okay.
It was thirsty. Leave it alone.
All right. I'm turning off the camera, and let's go see good morning to LinkedIn user who I don't know who it is. Oh, wait. Well, she said good morning. Thank you to Lois Pipers, but we don't know who you are. So let us know. Gregory loves it when you're sassy, Melissa. That's part of the chaos. Yes, we know. And Adrian saying, Margaret Martinez, hi. I love when people are sharing things with each other. And Sujit Kumar, 3 ways to minimize minimalized in 2025. Digital decluttering for focus and productivity. I love that. Mindful consumption to reduce overwhelm, and minimalist communication for authentic connections. I like those. Those are very, you can tell he put some thought into it. It's specific to what he wants. If one of those resonate with you, steal it from one of your goals. Thank you for sharing that, Sajith. And of course, our resident comedian, Houston, Gabriel, new phone, do this.
Is he the resident comedian? I feel like we need to have an award ceremony for our resident comedians because Ken Dunner's pretty funny.
Well, okay, so Gabe would get the honorable mention.
I don't even want to just assume. We'll do a whole poll and we'll give out real trophies or something. Now, honestly, guys, I want to know what's resonating most for you today, because goal setting can start at any time. Like I said earlier, the new year is a very hyped time to do it because it is fresh calendar, fresh everything, right? A lot of businesses even close over the holidays, are used to. And so it was this cyclical event to really start new. And are you offering yourself that now? Because I'll be honest, in retail, it's a different New Year experience than when I'm at home and had time off where we were closed and we didn't have to be open at that time. Which meant that I was a little bit later to the gate with some, resolutions, as it were. But I did buy my journal later than I would have normally this year. Like I like to buy my happy planner one for my calendar, guys. I'll be honest. I like to do my own planners, but for the calendar, happy planner is the one. And their organization system is the one that I mimic in my own, because you can pull pages out, move them around inside your planner. And so for me, that was always that fresh page approach. And I gift that to myself every day of the year with planners like this, because I know in my brain, I love that fresh book feeling of the first day of school, right? And so if you know what makes you happy, if you know you were an A student the first month of school because everything was still fresh and new and pretty and fun, buy a new planner every month if it takes that, because whatever it is that motivates you is what you need to harness. And it's different for everybody. Everybody doesn't, work the same. Some of us, like you said, Felipe, like to put those things on the shelf and pull them out later. Some of us throw away the sticky notes once the to-do list is done, and it's just a post-it note nightmare in the trash can. But they're releasing it that way. They're done with it. They really do let it go, and they don't hold on to it anymore. And there's power in that for them. What is it for you guys? And if you don't know, it's because you're not testing. And if you're not testing, you're not trying. Oh, did I say that out loud, Felipe? I'll stop right now.
You're too funny. Oh my God. Well, look, we have some great comments, and Carolyn, I do agree. God has a plan for us, and He only gives us so much as we can handle. So, and Dr. Marcia, I do agree with you as well. Self-care should not be optional; it should be a priority. And Dr. Arbog says he needs to focus on getting the theory for his master's out of the way. Well, I love that. It's a huge accomplishment. We look forward to hearing more about that. And Kenneth says that you're pretty funny yourself, Miss Houston. So savor the flavor of the awesomeness of that.
I am savoring that. I want my trophy, Felipe. Find out how I get a trophy for that.
Everyone does not get a trophy. Oh my gosh, calm down, Houston.
Well, you want one.
I don't need a trophy. Gregory says, my goals are to challenge the norms and challenge them very hard. All gas, no brake. Don't settle one bit. Dare to be deviant. So, all right. A lot of great comments here. A lot of great insights. Tell us and let us know what has been a roadblock for you. Share in the comments. Come up on stage. What has been a roadblock for you in causing you not to be able to achieve your goals? Sometimes we put up our own barriers that prevent us from doing it. Other times there are external barriers that we can't control. But the reality is that that's life, and we have to find ways sometimes to manage around them. And some people have had success managing around barriers that come up. And that's one of the great things about this room is hearing from different people, different situations that they've encountered. I know for me, I always use the barrier of time. I don't have time. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this. Yet magically, when I wanted to do something fun, I made time for it. And I started realizing that my priorities were a little bit disheveled and I needed to get them reorganized, because if I really wanted to focus on my health, watching a half-hour sitcom, I could have watched it while I was on the treadmill, or I could just gone for a half-hour walk instead of sitting on my butt eating popcorn or something and watching a sitcom. And I could watch the sitcom later on if I wanted to. But the reality is that we have to choose. And that's why I always share the quote of Vince, since we are talking about football today a little bit. Vince Lombardi was a very famous football coach. And one of his great quotes was about success. And the quote says, the difference between a successful person and others is not a lack of strength, it's not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. And I want everyone to think about that. It's the lack of will. So who has control of your will? Only you do. So if you really want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. And that's where you got to question yourself. Am I stopping myself from achieving what I want to achieve? Do you want to wake up 20 years from now and say, look how much I achieved? Or do you want to wake up 20 years from now and say, oh my God, I'm still in the same place, in the same chair I was 20 years ago? Houston, what about
Felipe,
you?
I love what you said there, because it made me immediately think of the woman who will lift a car off of her child, right? If there is a will, the body finds a way. And I don't know if somebody said that before. If not, quote me quick, write it down. But reality is, we have seen humans do astronomical things out of nowhere. No prep, no buildup, no gym time to be ready to lift a car off your human that you've created, right? And that you love. But that willpower, that determination, there is something where you can just bring it from your cells, and every generation before you, maybe, I don't know, Superman comes up and takes over your body. But it happens. And it's because you don't want to stop. You can't fail. And when you determine you can't fail, nobody will let you, right? You won't let anybody. Because when I don't want to fail, I tell my friends, nope, I don't want to fail. Nope, I can't do that. This is what I want to do. This is my goal. And my friends help, right? If I want it bad enough, nobody is going to stop me. If my husband says, hey, no, you can't have this last piece of chocolate, and I really want it, I bet you I can tickle it out of him. I bet you I can win that war. I'm going to win that arm wrestling battle. But you have to determine you want it bad enough. I think about that military mindset. The humans that get sent to war are like us. They're trained to think differently. They are taught to run a little farther, lift a little more, be able to do it uphill both ways. But when it hits the fan, they have to have the will to get home. And not everybody can live through that. And I mean, I'm not disregarding those who lost their lives in service, but anybody who did come back through those moments where others may not have, you ask them what was the difference for them, and they're like, I just didn't have a choice. I just kept moving and I just kept going. My body kept going. I wasn't even thinking. And guys, that's that superhuman need, drive, will. When you have a way, when there is an option and you're focused on doing the thing, you will get it done. If you're not focused, you'll forget. And you don't even mean to, right? You don't mean to, but time slips away when that one distraction pops up, no matter what your intention was. So do you have somebody who's calling you back? Do you have a buddy to push you up? Do you have somebody to reach back and pull you forward when it's time? Because that's what the accountability is. And you don't have to pay for it. It could be your spouse, your partner, your friend, your cousin, your mom, your uncle, your neighbor. Hey, buddy, if you don't see me out here at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, ring my doorbell till you see my lawnmower come out here with you, right? Whatever that is, you have to determine you want it done and then figure out how you can do it and ask for help to get it done. Military people have a radio. They have somebody on the ground watching for them, checking for them, making sure they're coming home. That helps a ton, right? The Navy SEALs, you think about the highest level of that military training we have out here. They are a team. It takes a whole team sometimes for them to get it done, but it's that team power. So do you have a team? Who's around you? What's your community look like? Because as much as I fight with Felipe, I also call him and he calls me, and we hold each other accountable to stuff. If we don't like it, we tell each other. If we see somebody doing something stupid, we're like, what are you doing? That's dumb. And it's very simple. It could be that simple of a statement. but then it opens up a genuine conversation with thought out processes and reasons why we said that's kind of silly. Let's talk about it. So figure that out for you guys. If you don't have it, start it. Tell people you want it. You can literally make a post right now. I don't have the community I need. Who needs one? Who wants one? How do we start one? Where do we go? Who's got a community that I should join? Those are those simple things that you can do for yourself for free, right? But you need it. It's a pillar of success for me to have somebody I can be accountable to. And I choose who that is because not everybody gets the whole Melissa accountable. You gotta have trained in this position for me to want you to help me do the thing, right? If you're eating gummy worms while I'm asking you to hold me accountable for my steak, I'm going to fail because you're going to tell me your gummy worms are good, I'm pretty sure, right? So think about who's holding you accountable and why you chose them. I think that's important. Felipe, I'm going to give it back to you.
Well, thank you, Houston. And, it's accountability is a big part. We all have to hold ourselves accountable. And, it's one of those things where a lot of times we get scared. And for anyone that is dealing with neurodiversity, whether it's anxiety, depression, you have, there's a lot of other levels of neurodiversity, but let's talk about anxiety, for example. I know from personal experience that when I sit there and worry and get anxious, the one thing that continuously helps me get out of that mindset is to take action. Because usually what is causing a lot of anxiety is the need to get something done, or something's due, or I have to do something. And that feeling is not going to go away until it's accomplished. So when you actually take action, even if that action is just writing down the plan of how you're going to get it done tomorrow, that next day, you're going to wake up, you're like, oh, I already have a plan written down. Okay, I feel like I can hit the ground running. These are small things. And when I repeat what Melissa stands for when she talks about documenting and then acting, I don't repeat it because she's my friend. I don't repeat it because I like the way it sounds. I repeat it because there's meaning, valuable meaning behind it, and valuable insights that are going to help you. And it's proven, studies that have shown you that by documenting things, your likelihood of achieving the goals have increased significantly. Same thing like running through the S.M.A.R.T test. It's going to help you think about those things. So take the time, write things down, get out of your head and put it on paper so that you free up a little bit of that angst that you might be dealing with. Because goal setting is something that should be positive. And if you're helping someone set goals, you're giving them a gift, because when they accomplish it, their confidence goes up, they feel more accomplished, and they're more likely to repeat it. So,
and guys, while he's figuring this out, we have people asking how to come to the stage. Do you want to drop the link for them again?
I also just did.
Cool. I just want to add before we go on too much though, but guys, think about your grocery list, right? How many times do you say milk, cheese, eggs, bread in your brain before you start going, gosh, I just need to write this down, right? You have 4, 5, 6 things you might be able to circulate. But then after that, it just gets overwhelming to maintain the thought. And then you text yourself, or you make a list real quick on your desk, and all of a sudden it's free. You don't even think about the milk anymore. It's just done. And that is the same thing that happens with anything else that's traveling in your brain consistently. If you write it down, it could be a sticky note. It could be that motivational board, right? But if you keep it in focus and your brain is aware, hey, they're not going to forget this, you relax. It lets it go. Its job is to do what you're telling it. And when you tell it, hey, I've got this, I wrote it down somewhere, it lets it go. So if your brain is stressing you out, de-stress your brain. That's it. That's a simple tip. Okay, back to you.
All right. So JL, I just sent you the link. I'm trying to pin it somewhere on Restream, but I thought I put it in Restream and it is not there for some reason. So I'm still working on that. But as far as for those of you in the audience, just a reminder that please go ahead and repost and reshare the room to your friends so they know it's going on live in case this might be beneficial to them. Goal setting, again, we're not asking you to set a lot of goals. Goal setting, you shouldn't set more than 3 goals. And if you achieve them, great, come up with new ones. But 3 goals studies have shown have been the more manageable, realistic number to take on. And again, even those 3 goals, you might break them down into smaller bites so that you can knock out little bits of accomplishment or have little feelings of accomplishment throughout the stages of your goal setting. I want to recognize some people that are been chatting here real quick. Let's see here. We have some people that have joined us. JL mentioned something that I thought was very profound here. She said that it's not only the lack of will, but perhaps not having clarity or a strong why that pushes you through the hardest times to fulfill the promise you make yourself when you choose to focus on your why. That why is huge. That is something that when someone's dealing with a health issue, their why of why they should keep on fighting might be because they have a child that they want to be around for, or a spouse or a loved one. They might be fighting for themselves. They might be fighting because they are too young, or because they are just fighting because they want to achieve something that it's been a dream of theirs all their life. But if you don't know that why, you might have a little bit harder time. And the clarity, I'll say it again, SMART goals are going to provide clarity. So JL, I hope you can join us on stage. I sent you a DM on LinkedIn with the link. For the rest of you, I did put it in the comments, so feel free to join us on there. And then we have a LinkedIn user from Sri Lanka. It's great to see you there. Don't know who you are, so let us know in the comments. And Christy, it's great to see you. And Aaron Gibson, our friend, is here. Whoop, whoop. I love that we have Canada representing. And we have Marcia Watson saying realistic goals and unrealistic goals parallel to each other get you out of the gate. The achievable goals are 40%, and the unrealistic 60% is what you should aim for. And I
gotta add to that too. But then please let me.
No, just say it's create goals that push you. Don't create simple and easy goals. If they're not pushing you, then they're too easy. So I love that 60% that you aim for should be unrealistic, because you're going to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you're going to be able to recognize how much you actually could achieve, even when you doubted yourself. But Houston, over to you.
Thank you. I have to tell you, I was one of and I still am, I'm one of those people that when my leaders ask me to goal set, they always hate my unrealistic expectations on paper. So at one point I said, well, why don't you set goals for me and then let me play over here or something? Like, if you know what you want me to write down, just write it down. Because if you're asking me to goal set, this is it. And what was funny is I'd hit those goals I set and shock the person who said they were unrealistic. But I did the same thing when I enrolled in school. I wanted to double major in business and elementary education with a minor in social work. It's a lot. It's a lot, right? It sounds like so much. And when I came to my advisor looked really confused as to why I would take on such a big workload. But see, I'm a big fan of the Venn diagram. So what I did was figure out what each of those things needed. And then I Venn diagrammed the overlapping classes. And then I found out which of those classes would work for both degrees at the same time. And I ended up figuring out that 3 extra courses got me all of that if I would have finished. And I didn't, guys. We all know the story. But the fact of the matter is how I began was strategically. And I wanted to be able to transition from coaching to teaching to educating, all the things I do now, but in a different way. I was thinking about a Montessori school. One had opened across from my junior high when I was growing up, and it always stuck in my head to be an educator or administrator in a building like that. And if I owned it, I could really do what I wanted. So that was the thought. But I say all of that to say, if you're going to approach something, set those big goals, just like we saw in the comments, right? Set them huge. Have some realistic ones, because that makes your boss better. And it really, it's a fun way to play, because if you don't hit the ground running and exceed expectations, you're not feeling like a failure later. But I don't feel like a failure if I shoot for the moon, hit the stars kind of thing, right? And that's what they taught me growing up. And so when I do it later and they're like, no, don't do that, I'm like, why? You told me there was a poster my whole school year telling me to do that. And so just remember why you do it, get excited about doing big things, and then get help if you need to really go fast. There are ways you can cut across some of those hurdles others had to grow through. You can get expertise that's ready to hit the ground running with you. But do it big and do some research before you act, right? That's the whole documentation, but I don't even write it down until I understand what I'm writing. And that's where I Venn diagrammed those 2 different degrees with that minor to be able to really make it easy with 3 extra classes. So that's my share.
It was a lovely share. I'm trying to help JL. So JL, you should be able to click the link. It's asking you to, you shouldn't have to log in. I'm not sure why.
If she's never had a restream, she may have to log into her account. I usually just log in with my Google Chrome. So if I join from anywhere, it's easy enough. Just a tip.
Yeah. If you logged into Restream, log out of it and just use the link and click on the link and try it that way. But going back to, and we had some great comments here. So keep on sharing the comments, you all, and let us know what's going on. But, you know, I want to go back to some of our goals, Melissa. You know, we talked about how Miss Nick, the gifted bipolar writer, helped us, you know, write our first chapters and co-author a book. This one here, A Message to Our Family, was one that it was such a powerful book that we did not realize the impact it made, not only to ourselves, but to our families. But again, it opened up our eyes to wanting to write other things. I mentioned in a children's book, a long-term goal of mine, not just for this year, was I got inspired. My father passed away 25 years ago. He had an amazing life. Now, my mother is still alive. She's 92, and she's writing her life story. But I was thinking, it's like, God, I wish Dad had been around to write his life story. So I said, oh, I wonder if maybe I could write his life story. I'd have to get a lot of help from a lot of relatives, but it's one of those things where if Nick had not opened us up to challenge ourselves and try to do something that we thought was unrealistic, that pushed us out of our comfort zone, I would never even be thinking about this book for my father. I would not even thinking about finishing up a goal that I started 25 years ago by doing this children's book. And that's because one person, Nick, gave us that push. And so I want people to remember that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think that's a Michael Jordan quote. But the reality is think about that. People say, oh, can you make the basket? Oh, I don't even want to try. Then you will never know if you can do it. So don't say no to yourself until you tried. Whether you want to be an artist, you want to be a writer, you want to be a content creator, you want to be a vice president of a company, you want to own your own company. Don't try and make it happen by tomorrow, but start planning for it tomorrow. Houston, thoughts?
I love all of this. When I hear you talk about it, I look at us next to each other, right? We had completely separate paths growing up. And for those who don't know, guys, I'm just going to give a quick summary. Felipe's mom and dad were pretty well together, right? They had some well-to-do friends. They traveled. They stayed in hotels, and they also drank milk from farm animals, maybe. But it was a different kind of life than I led. I grew up poor in projects, housing, welfare. Loved, don't get me wrong, we both had love, but different paths. I also didn't get to finish my college career. Felipe did. He's still working on it. I am educating, I'm leveling up, but different paths. I couldn't walk through the same doors Felipe could. However, some of our organizations might have hired me as a 1099 consultant without the education, right? And that's an HR thing that we talk about a lot, where I may not be qualified to be an employee, but they would hire me to consult their W-2s, which is interesting. But I found ways to come in through this side, right? Where he can help you get in through the applicant tracking system. I teach you to get them to sneak you in the window. And so different, but we're at the same point. We're in the same room, sharing the same topic to you guys with the same intention of helping you figure out what you want to do next with our own ways of doing it. Different perspectives, different outcomes, like the outcomes are comparable, but different ways to get there. And so I don't want you to think you have to go back to school to do the thing. Some do because they need to harness a skill set. Some have learned skill sets they don't realize are corporate by being in retail or fast food. I'll be honest, the metrics there are corporate. That's what corporate looks at. They just do it on a bigger scale. They create processes based on the data. They just don't enter it, right? And so being able to change that perspective and step from one mindset to the other, that's the other value that we've learned that we're trying to share with you. We have different ways of doing it. Sometimes we go to ChatGPT, and I say we, but I don't do a lot there unless it's like words. I want them to give me 10 words a coach talks about in 2024. That's cool for topics and ideas. But reality is you can do a lot with this AI stuff. How are you going to use it? Are you going to use it to write your stuff? Or are you going to use it to inspire you to write your own? Are you going to create programs and policies? Are you going to ask it to tell you what should be in a good program or policy? These are decisions you have to make, and you have to set the goal, and you have to figure out how you will keep yourself accountable to achieve them. But there are so many ways you can do it. And if you're on this platform, if you're listening in, if you're doing these events for free to learn, you're already halfway there. The next thing is getting clear and then acting on it. So that's what I'm taking away right now while I'm playing with my plants, by the way, guys. The reason the water was by the laptop was not because I was thirsty. It was because my plants were. So here we are still playing in my plants. And just needed you to know.
Keep on playing with your plants. But you brought up a good point. And let's talk about careers. Let's talk about people looking for jobs. Let's talk about setting a goal to get a new job, whether you're unemployed or you're employed and you're just not happy. The reality is you can't just spray a bunch of resumes out there and pray and hope that something sticks. Okay? This is not you testing your pasta and throwing it against the wall and see if it sticks. It doesn't work that way. So set yourself a goal and come up with a SMART plan if you're trying to find a new job. If you're unemployed, come up with a plan of, okay, who am I going to reach out to? What industries? What type of roles? After I apply, what does the follow-up look like? What does my messaging look like? Do I have a good message to send a recruiter if I can send them a DM? What does the timeline look like that I'm going to follow up? How am I going to track all the applications that I'm applying for so I don't forget where I applied? Because I got to tell you, one of the worst things I can ever hear as a recruiter when I call somebody and say, oh, hey, I'm calling about your application. I'm calling from PRB. Oh, great. What did I apply for again? Oh, dear Lord. If you don't know what you applied for, then you've already got a red mark. And so here's some things I want you all to think about. And I'm going to put on a QR code at the bottom here of some openings that I currently have at PRB for business development. And we have some entry-level ones that are coming up in a few weeks as well. But if you're applying for a job, read the job description. And here are a few things I want you to think about as you're creating your goals. Take the job description that you want, read through it, make sure that you have some of the skills and qualifications. And if there's keywords that they say must have these skills and you have those skills, but they're not listed on your resume, add them to your resume right away. All right. So the first goal is to review those job descriptions. Then make sure you review your resume to make sure that the jobs you're applying for actually match your objective or your summary of what you're looking for. That first paragraph on the top of the page of your resume that says that you're looking to join this company as this role and you have these skills and qualifications that could add value to the company. Make sure that you are, again, paying attention to detail. I've gotten resumes that says, I'm looking forward to joining PSA. Well, I work at PRB, not PSA. That's a different company. So clearly your attention to detail is not up to par. So it takes work, you all. It takes time, it takes effort. Melissa and I are saying that these goals, put in the work now, and it will save you time later on. And some other things to think about when you're reaching out for jobs is if there's a job on LinkedIn or whatever that you applied for, make sure you apply on the website of the company. Because if you apply through LinkedIn, Quick Apply, that's a secondary database that the recruiter has to go into. Their primary database is their applicant tracking system on their website. They're going to go to those applicants first and foremost. So make sure that you try to always do that and then follow up with them. Now, there's an AI in LinkedIn. Please be careful because the AI in LinkedIn tends to write the messages the same way if you let it write it for you. I get a number of AI messages from people, and I know they're AI because the first sentence or two are identical. There's no difference. So I know that they're using AI. So my recommendation is come up with a message. Set up one of your goals to create a message that is authentic and sincere, and it speaks to you, that you've used ChatGPT to reformulate maybe, and have that ready to go. So whenever you have a recruiter send a message to you, you can send that message, customize it a little bit with the company name and the position and their name, and there you go. You have a well-crafted message. But these are goals that you have to set for yourself. Don't wait last minute to do this. Do it now so you're prepared. When you're prepared, you're more confident and you feel more accomplished. And then the last thing I'll say is this. When you get that opportunity for that interview, prepare and set a goal of what are the questions that I want to ask for an interview. You know, have interview preparedness as a goal. Do I have questions that I might be asked, and have I prepared answers for them? Do I have questions that I want to ask, and have I written them down? Have ChatGPT help you with some of this stuff. A good way of doing it is throwing your resume and a job description into ChatGPT and say, come up with 20 questions that I may be asked for this interview based on this job description and resume, and let it come up with those questions and then prepare answers for those. And so these are just some things, again, if you're looking for a job, these are some steps that you can set as goals to help you be ready and prepared. And when you go into that interview with that list of questions, make sure that they know that you have a list of questions, because then when they ask you, do you have any questions? If they did answer them, still say, let me look at my list here. You know what? You've actually answered all the questions. Thank you very much. Hopefully you have a question they didn't answer, but those are just some things. Now, if you're, let's flip-flop. Say you're internally working at a company and you want to move up. Set a goal, set a plan. What's your plan? How are you going to start meeting with your supervisor about your career advancement and what you can do? Are you going to try to cross-train and set up cross-train opportunities? Are you going to take training classes that are not required of you, but that you want to take so you can continue to learn an area that you want to work in? Are you speaking up and taking initiative and volunteering for projects? These are goals that you can set for yourself. Gain certifications, taking a course, having a regular one-on-one with your supervisor or the supervisor of the department that you want to work in. Create that plan. If you document that plan and you follow it, you have something to guide you, you're, again, more likely to achieve that. So I want to give a little bit, because we talked about careers, coaching, and chaos. Melissa did a great job of sharing some coaching advice. I wanted to share a little bit of career advice. And again, invite you all to come up and ask questions, or ask questions in the chat. Let us know what questions you have about what Melissa and I shared, because this really is for you all to make sure that we are giving you the opportunity to learn, ask your questions, because chances are if you have a question, somebody else is probably has the same question as you. We do have a comment here from Gregory, as well as resume directly to the recruiter will never hurt, beneficial to people who are neurodivergent. Yeah, I mean, obviously the resume is important to get to the recruiter. I'll be honest, nowadays, most applicant tracking systems are just requiring you to submit your resume and fill out basic information. So the resume really has slowly taken over the formal application form that we used to have to fill out completely in addition to the resume. What I'll say is, and it seems really silly to have to say this, but we're on LinkedIn. Make sure your LinkedIn page is up to date, okay? As a recruiter, when I get a resume that I like, I go right to LinkedIn and say, okay, let me see what else I can learn about them. Let me see if their job history matches, or did they exaggerate somewhere. Let us see how their attention to detail is. So it is going to be valuable for you to keep your LinkedIn profile up to date, because guess what? It's working for you when you're sleeping and when you're awake. Sorry, that sounded like Santa Claus there, Houston.
I was going to say, what just happened? Hold on, I'm coming in here. But reality is, I do like what you're saying. I think you do need to make sure it aligns. And something that I was doing last night, guys, and because it's relevant now, if you're looking at upskilling, if you're looking at presenting your profile freshly in the new year, go look at the changes, right? It's always good to assess before you begin. LinkedIn made some updates. If you go and check out your skills, it used to be 50, now you can do 100. When's the last time you checked? If you're looking at jobs on LinkedIn, yes, you should apply on the website, like Felipe said, right? But if you go to the job on LinkedIn, it will actually AI Venn diagram you against the role and say, am I a good fit? Click the button, and it will tell you what you're lacking. It will say, hey, we're not seeing this skill set on your profile, and this is what they said they wanted. And then you can gap fill. You don't even need to worry about it yourself going to a different platform. They have integrated AI into this mission. But also going into your skills, being on your profile is not enough. You have to go tie that experience to your expertise in your experience area. So while I have all of my skills maxed out, and I remove some of the smaller ones, things I don't want to do anymore, like filing. I used to be good at filing, right? Yes, I still do it, but do I need that to pop on my resume? Not at all. So removing that and maybe optimizing a different skill set that now I do want to do. Maybe I forgot to add a year ago, right? Maybe something I've upskilled, like Felipe's adding new data all the time. He's going to have to exchange if he wants to max the 100. He does that and then add something he's going to have to take away. So review that and then tie it to the experience you have. Because if I say I do project management and I tie it to one of my expertises, like just the most recent job, that's great. But if it's only a year long and I've been doing project management since birth, basically, why is it not tied to every experience? Because that gives them that longevity, right? Oh, they've done project management in every role they have listed. That's huge. It's additional information that our resume can't even harness right now, right? They're saying 1 to 2 pages, don't tell it all. If you're somebody who's got a long-standing career like Felipe and myself, we got a little bit of silver popping in the hair sometimes. I mean, it takes a little bit of work to make sure we don't present as an aged applicant. No offense, right, Felipe? But there is some age stuff out there. We're trying to limit them, using against us. There's also a skill set, like how do you harness the power without giving it away? And that is by telling them this is where I've used it and let them Venn diagram that information themselves. But just keep bolstering that LinkedIn profile. If you're here, if you're applying, if people are telling you as HR professionals that they come to LinkedIn to look, you don't have a choice. Get it done. And if you need help, ask somebody, right? But Felipe, I love that tip.
And here's something else I want to share, because again, where there's a will, there's a way. I shared that quote about having that will. Who's stopping you? Ask yourself that question. Who is stopping you from growing or upskilling? Because the reality is, it probably is yourself. And one of the things that, I was thinking about it, and I took it very lightly, but right now, as you were talking, Melissa, I'm over 50. I'm not shy about that. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a social media platform. As a 50-plus individual, I'm considered the LinkedIn expert in my company at PRB, okay? That means that an older person is a social media expert for a company. That's something that if you're letting your age stop you, I'm asking you to stop it. Don't let age stop you. Go out there and make the change that you want. And LinkedIn, for those of you that want to learn, say, oh, I don't have that skill. I don't have that certification. I don't know how to use that. Well, guess what? LinkedIn has LinkedIn Learning. And for those of you like, oh, I can't pay for the premium, I can't pay for the monthly. Okay, fine. You know what you can do? You can go get a free library card. And I used to tell people, go to the library and you have free access to LinkedIn. Guess what? It's even easier than that. If you don't have your library card, go get one. And you can log into your library website, put in your library card number, and you have free access to LinkedIn Learning. And that's from home. You can start upskilling after this call. You can start upskilling right now if you hung up on this call. The question is, what are you doing about it? When are you going to take action and take control of your life and say, oh, they won't hire me because I don't have the skill? Then go get it. Go get the skill. I know that's easier said than done in some cases.
No. I gotta add, guys. I love what he's saying. I'm bouncing. I'm sorry. I waited like an extra minute after you. Excited me. So here I am. But YouTube University, you don't even have to go to the library if you're limited on access, right? So let me just say this out loud for those of you going, well, I don't have a card or I can't get a card. I lost the book 20 years ago. They still hate me. Cool. Go to YouTube. Go to Microsoft's YouTube channel and study under them. Go to LinkedIn's YouTube channel and study on that channel. Because if you tell me that you have spent 20 hours with Microsoft learning Excel hacks, tips, spreadsheet, whatevers, and you learned that knowledge and it's in your brain. And then when I say, well, that's great, where did you get that knowledge? And you say YouTube, people might scratch their head. But the right people will go, wait a minute, you found a free resource, self-taught, and it's managed by the company that has the product itself you learned from the provider? That's a win for me. I don't know about you, Felipe, but what would you say if somebody said, yeah, I spent 100 hours learning tips, tricks, and whatever tools that I could help your business with from Microsoft? What would you say?
I'd say, show me how you did that because I want to learn that too.
And then what I just said, will you be using YouTube to go and learn tips and tricks for Excel? Like, not just copy paste, guys, but like if you do this equals this, then this spreadsheet automatically updates the next cell for the afternoon or whatever it is, right? Like, there's so many tools, but how do you present your knowledge? Because getting it from Microsoft for me is a win. LinkedIn owned by Microsoft. They do learning there. So if Microsoft's teaching me here and LinkedIn Learning is accepted, wouldn't Microsoft directly teaching me in their own platform, on their own platform that they've created to do so, be just as beneficial? It's a mindset shift. It's how you present yourself in that interview, which comes back to what Felipe said. Maybe you need to remember that YouTube channel is Microsoft training you instead of just thinking YouTube did it. But as soon as you can harness that power and start empowering yourself with those small steps, right? We talked about small shifts. Brush your hair, take a shower, watch YouTube all day. Sit in the gym if you can't work out. Just still be there. Do something though, right? Action. It's where it's at, Felipe. This is exciting. I'm excited about how this is feeling. What about you guys in the comments? Is this exciting? Drop an emoji, drop a yes, drop a heck no. You guys suck, go away. Don't do that. You'll probably get banned. But do something. Give some feedback. I want to know how you're feeling this morning.
Well, and I think it's important for everyone to realize, if there's other things that you've used to help you upskill or learn, share it in the comments or come up on stage. Lynda.com, for those you remember, was bought by LinkedIn Learning. So that's, again, it's not something that LinkedIn created. They purchased it and just enhanced it. And I love that you mentioned YouTube. Look, my kids, they've learned so much from YouTube. It's not even funny. And it's important for us to realize that we shouldn't judge where people are learning if they're learning the right information at the end of the day. And
can I just say real quick, if you're not following Felipe's YouTube channel right now, this is that thing, right? He's a business who's actually doing what we're talking about Microsoft does too. So if you've missed former shows of his where you wanted to get tips, he does a ton of stuff on the internet and he's putting it all over there. So go find it. Sorry, I had to put it out there.
I appreciate you saying that. So I just shared the link for my YouTube channel because now that we're doing these, I have playlists for careers, chaos, and coaching. I have a playlist for the workplace wellness hour, but you also can see some of my Felipe's 5 tips or some of the funny cooking videos that Melissa likes to laugh at because my hair was quite long.
Oh my gosh, guys, go find his old YouTube videos. Go find that freaking hair. He looks like Fabio. Did you know Felipe had long hair, guys? Did you know he did that whole I have horse pictures of him I created in AI. Can I show them yet?
Oh no, all I ask is if you're going to comment and make fun of long hair, at least subscribe to the channel. Give me that.
Yeah, you got to have the bell rung. You're going to get banned. I will report you personally if you're not following him when you make fun of him. Come on, it's got to be a give and take. I support him and poke at him. But I gotta say, Felipe, I love the hair. And I love that you did like a ton of different content, guys. And that's something that if you're out there and I see who's in the comments, right? So speaking to the audience we have, if you're doing promotion of your own, YouTube is the place. I don't know if you've monetized YouTube yet, guys, but eventually it pays forever, right? That is the one channel. It's not a here's your check this month and it goes away. You can keep going. They have shorts. They do the SEO really well, right? So if you're hashtagging your video and putting the descriptions in there and doing everything you're supposed to do, you're going to do great there. And it lasts forever. And so if you're doing it here, if you're doing it on Facebook, if you're doing it on any other social platform where you're trying to use media or content to grow your business, make sure you're putting it on YouTube too. It's just smart money. Okay.
No, I love it. So thank you all for that. And I hope you all learned something, but I also hope that you get some laughs out of it, because there are some laughs. And, you know, I did do a nice video with my mother cooking. If y'all, I'll tell you this, if y'all want to learn how to make some amazing salsa or make some amazing empanadas, watch those videos. The other one, I will say, cinnamon roll pancakes are delicious and they taste like the Cinnabon, you know, that you get at Cinnabon. So those are the 3 videos I have on there. So feel free to check that out.
What kind of empanadas?
The empanadas were amazing and they're easy to
kind
make.
though? I know I
Oh,
make some.
Chicken.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a potato poblano today, actually, for the family. My daughter requested them, but big fan. I didn't know you did that with her. I got to go check it out.
Yeah, you got to check it out. So I am working on the visual of the page. It's not as aesthetically pleasing to the eye as the LinkedIn pages, but it'll get there. So going back to you, talk to me about, you don't mention names, obviously, but you've coached a lot of people, Houston. You've helped a lot of people through a lot of personal life challenges, professional challenges they're trying to get through. Is there a common theme that you've ever seen that people struggle with, that is something that you think is almost universal, that people just need to remember, get out of your head about this? Or is there something that has stood out to you that you were able to help them and it's a good example to share?
I'll be honest. I think, I love this question so much. I also have to give a shout out to him because we don't do prep in the fact that he doesn't send these to me ahead of time. He might outline the show for this a little bit more than he tells me about, but I love these off the cuff questions. And so that's what it is. But I was a consultant first. I would help people with sales and marketing because I know how to grow businesses. I've been doing telemarketing or door-to-door business sales since I was a kid. Top seller for fundraisers, top seller for newspaper door-to-door. It just always followed me. I could talk to people. But I think it came down to the root of what others lack often, and that's the confidence. I had the confidence to fail because I was a failure. To be honest with you guys, and I say that with finger quotes, right? But I was a child, so let's keep perspective. I'm not going to bully my 13-year-old version of myself, but I was bullied. I have a birthmark. Many of you don't know this about me, but I do. And it's the length of my arm on my right side. It's underneath. So if you go palms up, you see it. But people as children aren't very kind. It almost looks like a burn from a fire. And so I got picked on. I was Missy Mississippi. That's why nicknames don't work for me, guys. If you haven't earned it, you don't get to use it because I don't like Mississippi. But I learned to spell it young because that was my nickname. And so I think about all of these things that I had to take some on the chin, which I don't really think is something children should have to endure. But it did give me the confidence to hold my head up anyway and do me. And I always have. And then I was leading the way, right? Top sales, top performer. People behind you don't love you. Not always. Not every team is supportive when you win, and they wanted it. So then I had to deal with that too. But what I realized was when I got clear, I was confident. When I wasn't clear about what I was doing or why I was doing it, I would let those people intimidate me, and I would shift my plan. I don't do that anymore. I don't care. People call me rude. Then maybe. But rude people help me set good boundaries. So that's what iron sharpens steel and all that good stuff, right? But I think being clear, being very clear about what you will and will not do, what you will take in and what you won't, having the filters, right? The naysayers need to go away. And a lot of the time for me, it was my family. It very much felt like the rats in the barrel mentality, where anybody started to be good, great, thrive, be solid in their life, the others would negate that with talking behind the back, picking on them, whatever they could, right? And I don't want to get into it, but think about your life. Who in your life makes you feel less confident? What task in your life make you feel less confident? What outcomes make you feel less confident? And then assess why. Because if it's a lack of skill set, right, Felipe, in HR, you've been in the industry a long time, but you want to upskill. There's a purpose and a cause behind it. And I'm not saying it was lack of confidence, but it would increase your confidence to upskill. Same with me. I'm not done learning. I don't have a college degree today, but I can tell you, as soon as my kiddo leaves the house, that will be different. That's just going to happen. I just don't want to split up the last few years of my teenage years with her fighting for a degree, right, while I work. So I'm going to take my plan and do it my way. But I'm not lacking confidence because I don't have the degree yet. It's not going to slow me down yet, right? It can't, because I never had one to start. Why would I slow down now? I'm a 2-time best-selling co-author with my buddy Felipe with no degree, with a GED and a smile. And I say that confidently because I don't need somebody else to give me the gold star to tell me I know how to do my job. But I still want that gold star. So I am confident until I get their certification, but I'm still giving myself confidence every day by upskilling until, right? So I think confidence and clarity are the same. You are confident when you're clear. If you get clear, you don't care. And that's where I live. So that's my feedback, Felipe. What do you think?
No, I'm so glad you brought up the issue of confidence, because the reality is when we start doubting ourselves and we start lacking confidence, we start making mistakes. We start doing things that normally we wouldn't do, and we don't make as sound decisions. And so it has a negative impact on us. So instead of doing that negative self-talk of, I always tell Melissa, she always says, she has a GED and a smile. She has a positive spin on it. But she doesn't need to remind everybody that she has a GED, because she's smart enough that I think people would assume that she has higher education degrees because of how intelligent she is. Life experience teaches you just like school does. The reality is that, have you ever met somebody over the age of 50 that says they went back to school? Now tell me, what was the reaction to that person when they told you that? I'm going to bet, and tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, I'm going to bet that it was congratulations, cheering them on. It was excitement. It wasn't, oh, that's embarrassing, or shame, or why would you do that? It's encouragement. It's considered a strength. So think about this. If you're going back to school, or if you're going to upskill and learn a new skill that you don't have, instead of going into it with, oh, I don't have this, it's, I'm doing this. Change that mindset. You're doing this. You are going back to school. You are getting that degree. You are getting that skill. You are getting that certification. Whatever it is, change that mindset, because the more you tell yourself that you don't and you can't, it impacts your decisions and you start believing it. And I see it happen to people. And it's really painful to watch them digress when they do start believing that negative self-talk. So I encourage people to build that confidence, work on that. And again, take action, go take a class, take a course, learn from somebody, collaborate with others, tell somebody, hey, where did you learn how to do that? I'd love to learn. Can you teach me or tell me how or where to go? So I'm so glad you brought that up, Houston. I think that's such an important thing. And we are about 15 minutes to the end of the show. So if there's anybody that wants to come up, the link is in there. I will add it in there one more time for everyone. So it's on the top of the comment or chats. But Houston, I'm going to throw another curveball at you. I thought the last 15 minutes of our show, I got inspired by you when you and your coffee chat shows that you do. And you always try to add a little bit of a human factor. And so I thought, you've asked people about their favorite cereal or, favorite superheroes, things like that. And I thought we could do something fun like that at the end of each of our show, just to get to know each other more at the human level, let people into our crazy insights, not too much because I don't want to scare them. But before I throw that curveball at you, are you okay if I throw it at you?
Oh, I like curveballs. I got my glove ready. But I just want to say one thing, guys, before we get into the chaos aspect of the show. Really, I'm hoping you wrote a few things down today, right? We said, Felipe, how many times was document said? But it's a reality. There are to-do lists, there are processes, there are procedures. Every business out there has paper shoved in every corner of the office or in a cloud because they need to be written down to be revisited, right? We need to be able to test results. And if you don't know what steps you took to get the results you had, how are you going to replicate the winning process? And so it's not even about like waiting until it's hard to get a list together. It's write it down now. So when it is hard and you don't remember why you were successful, you can revisit it, right? And that's important to do. So even if it's just writing it in the calendar today, attended, Careers, Chaos, and Coaching, CCC with Melissa and Felipe. Maybe that is that date later when all of a sudden things start clicking in your calendar where you're like, oh my gosh, that was that moment. That's cool. Maybe it's somebody else's event. Maybe it's that one YouTube channel you stumbled across. Write it down. If you're inspired to fall into hours of content of a creator who's making you upskill better, think differently, change your perspective for progress, write it down. Don't forget your favorite channel. Save it. Add it to a playlist. When you're down, play your playlist. Eric Thomas, he's a motivational preacher. He was homeless and now he has a PhD. He was a GED. He is a PhD. And he did it late. He did it after everybody else. And he's the guy I turn to when I need to remember that I'm a beast. And he says, you're either a lion or a gazelle. You're either chasing your dreams or you're being chased. And you got to be honest, guys, I want to be chased. I want to be number one. I want you to have to catch up. And so I'm up early. I stay late. I do a little bit extra. I change up my to-do list so you can't even copy me because every day is a little different. But that's me. I want you to figure it out for you. So Felipe, I'm ready, but I want you to first tell me who motivates you, and then we'll go into your question.
Different people motivate me for different things. I will say that when I am in that mindset of I need to get things done and I'm procrastinating, I hear your voice in my head, Houston. You motivate me there. I'll be honest. When it comes to trying to be the father, the husband, the son I want to be, I think about my father. My father motivates me because he sets a great example. And then I have someone that was my first HR person that to this day, I think I've spoken to him once in the last 20 years, and that was last year. But it was the person who inspired me to get into HR because he was just a human person. It was one of those things where it's like, I'm going to be human, I'm going to be real. And if something's screwed up, I'm going to say it's screwed up. I'm not going to be overly diplomatic. And I'm going to fight for things that are done wrong. And he just inspired and motivated me. And it's something that those three have been ones that have continuously throughout my life. But what I'd also say, boy, do my two kids motivate the hell out of me. My daughter, Miranda, is such an intelligent, strong, and confident young woman that it just inspires me every day to keep on being better because she is just become an amazing person. And I'm just so grateful. And then my son, just watching him grow into the man that he's become is just, it's exciting. And it's not even being proud. It's just, I'm excited for him. And that motivates me to keep on making sure that I share my knowledge with him because I had a moment the other day where I'm like, do I share enough knowledge with my kids? I was like, oh my God, do I share more of my knowledge on LinkedIn than I do with my own children? I'm like, oh crap, I need to get better about that. So that's where I am with the motivation.
Okay, I'm not good at the touchscreen thing. I got to figure this out. I tried to use my anyway. Thank you for saying my name. I didn't expect that. Like I said, I wasn't sure. I was kind of hoping to copy your answer, but I don't want to listen to myself, so I'm gonna have to figure out somebody else. But I joke, guys. I think it's important to know who it is, though. And so, my question before we go into the fun is if I were to ask you this, do you know? And if you don't know, is it because you don't have them? You haven't considered it knowledge based learning. It's not really aligning to get you excited to push forward. Change it up, change the channel. We don't want it to be stuff that's just noise in the background. Don't fill your ears with just constant, right? Be serious about it, set good boundaries, and get intentional and watch what changes. I'm so excited because when I look at where I started, I mean, Felipe, I made less than what, 10 grand? I think the first year of employment. I think I made $9,000 as a mom at 18. And now I think about one day of LinkedIn made me 10 grand, right? And so that's a shift, but I didn't get there with a degree. I didn't get there with permission, guys. I made it happen. And I did it with clarity and confidence that maybe I didn't even deserve at first, but I faked it till I made it and it worked. It really did. I knocked on the door, even though I was scared of the guy yelling at me, go away, which happened a lot. But don't be scared. The worst they could say is no, and it's already no right now. All right, Felipe, shoot your question. Let's do
before
this.
I gotta say, I don't know if I ever told you, the origin story of Felipe's 5 started when I was college recruiting for Hyatt hotels. And one of the things that I would tell people, one of the first Felipe's 5 was, don't chase the money, chase what you love doing. The money will come. And I know that's something that not everyone will agree with, but that was one of my recommendations. And it's one of those things that I think that at the end of the day, I thought about my first job at Hyatt as a director of HR, okay? Not as like a front desk agent, as a director of HR, I was making $27,000 a year, okay? I was supervising a team of 2 and overseeing a hotel of employees, of 100 employees. That was ridiculous. But you know what? I loved what I did, and it got me to where I am today. And I'm so grateful for it. So that's why I always encourage it. Because I had a brother, my brother-in-law, he would always encourage me to join the company. He worked in construction, big construction companies like HIT. And he would always say, hey, come work with us. There's an opening in HR. I'm like, I don't know if I want to. Like, why? I was like, well, because you say you love the job, it's a great job, but you leave your job every year. It's like, oh, yeah, because I'm making more money. I'm like, yeah, but I want to work from a place that I enjoy and stay there. And you complain about every job you've been at. And so I don't want to risk leaving a place that I enjoy and getting paid well at. Now, sometimes you need to make the more money. You have to chase it. And I respect that. But sometimes I think we've all been there. Doesn't matter how much they pay you. If they treat you like crap, it's not worth it. All right. So here are the questions. We have 6 minutes left. So, oh, wait. And we have somebody who came up on stage here. Our friend Sajith Kumar is here. All right, Sajith.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us on stage here. Please share your thoughts on this. I love what you shared about you went back to school for 6 years to do your MBA. And on the first day, all the students stood up thinking that you were the teacher. I love that. I think that's hysterical. How did you respond to them? Oh, no. Sajith? So someone
This
said,
is something I gotta say, audio isn't any better. Like, even the few glitches we have, we did this in audio too, so it's not that bad. We'll figure it out. He's a pro.
yeah, but I think it has to do with the LinkedIn audio. If you're listening to LinkedIn through the app to us versus listening to it via Restream, when you join Restream, you have to get it to say, will you give me access to your mic? And if you don't get that pop-up, you have to go out and do it again.
That's another vote for StreamYard then.
All right, while we're waiting for Sajith to come back, I want you to think about this question here. What's the funniest or most surprising thing that you've ever seen during a job interview? So think about that while I bring Sajith back here. Sajith, you there? Still can't hear you, my friend. Actually, all I see is camera. I don't see any audio on my screen for you. Oh, he just left. All right. So I have a funny thing for an interview story, but do you have one first, Houston?
Now, do I have to have been in it, or could it be like I was the recruiter who got the feedback of the interview? Because I can't recall anything special for me personally, but I did send an applicant out to a client, and I have feedback
All right.
from them.
If that's a good story, they can do. So, Jeet, you're still showing up with camera only. I don't show any audio like I see for Melissa and myself. So there's definitely something going on with your audio. Maybe try a different device.
Yeah, and give it a second, because if that's so weird.
When I add him in here, I can see that there's not even an audio bar for him. Like there's zero. So
that's okay. So tell your story, and then we'll wait for him to come back.
All right. Well, I'm going to be very careful. This is going to be a PG story. It was my first interview in HR. I just joined the HR department at. I moved from a hotel in Bethesda, Maryland, to Fair Lakes, Virginia, and my director had trained me on interviewing and all this stuff. And I was all excited. She's like, "Okay, I have to go out for a lunch appointment, but you have your first interview. You're by yourself. You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Now, our office was right when the employee entrance. So right when you walked in, the HR office was there, and it was all glass. So you could see me right through the glass at my desk, right? And so I had this, at the time, I would consider older woman, because I was in my 20s, come in, and she sat down, and I said, "Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming in for the interview. It's great to have you here." And she's like, immediately, like, "I really need this job, and I will do anything to get this job." I said, "Well, let's chat and I learn more about you." And she's like, "Well, the first thing you need to learn about me," and let's just say she proceeded to propose herself to me, thinking that that would help her get the job. Now, I'm a brand new employee in HR. I've had my first interview, and as this woman is doing things that, from looking through the window, looks very odd and strange, is all I'm going to say. And she's on the other side of the desk, y'all. So, and employees are walking by, pointing and laughing. My face is beet red, and I had to excuse the lady and say, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. This does not seem like it's the right job for you. So I'm going to have to ask you to leave, and let you know that, unfortunately, I feel rather uncomfortable. So please leave now." And she's like, "Darn it." And she got up and left. And that was it. I was so scared that I was going to get fired. Because I don't know why I thought I was going to get fired. I just know that everyone saw this woman acting inappropriate in an interview. And I'm like, what is happening? Is this a normal thing that happens in interviews? Did I make a mistake in HR? Thank God that was the one and only time that that ever happened in my 30-year career. But it was the first interview, Houston.
Hey, well, you got it out of the way. Listen, I mean, it takes all kinds in all industries, guys. I got to be honest. There have been some stories out there in the HR world that I have heard. And from a background screening perspective, you can imagine some of them are really scary and they were dangerous, but you have to be ready for those moments. And that's something that I'm glad you knew, at least from your HR training, to say, this isn't going to work. Have a nice day. But it very much gave me Sharon Stone Indecent Proposal vibes as you're describing it. So I got to just put that out there. And quickly, I'll share mine, and then we can go to Sajid.
Just you know, that's exactly, and all that happened was that.
Yes. Okay. So that sucks. I'm sorry.
Yes. Thank God. We should out of there.
But also, listen. No. We're gonna move on because I don't want to get sent to HR. But what I will say is this: be prepared for the unknown. Whether you're giving an interview, showing up for one. My applicant went to an interview. Guy was highly talented, blue collar worker, welder, was going to a manufacturing plant, showed up dressed appropriately for the job, like steel toe shoes, everything, right? But as he bent over to conduct some demonstration on knowledge on the machine, pants split on the back end, and there was nothing under there. So not only did he really show up for his interview, he showed his rear end on his first day meeting these people. And so please dress accordingly, right? Remember that rule of thumb that grandma said or mom said, you know, if you get in an accident, you better have clean underwear. Make sure you do those things. But really also life happens. And so don't take it so seriously. If it doesn't work out, there is absolutely a cause. I believe in the universe, God, whatever you believe in. I believe God just moves us away from things that aren't meant for us. And honestly, a week later, he got a job offer for much higher pay. So it did end to his advantage later, which is why I wanted to share that story specifically. But just take it in stride, guys.
Is don't go commando for your job interviews.
Or wear newer jeans, right? Don't wear the blown out ones. Wear the better version. Prepare for the job you're applying for. If you're going to have to squat, make sure your pants are ready. Just do that.
Before we go to Sajith, I will say that with the exception of that example, sometimes you just have to go with the flow and go with what's happening. And if something uncomfortable or funny happens in an interview, just go with it. But in life, it's going to happen. I had my wife came to work one day and we had a event at work, and she's like, "Did you tear your pants?" Like, "Yeah, I got caught in a nail at the door and there's a hole there." And she's like, "We gotta throw away those pants." I go, "I know, but not tonight, obviously." And our head of finance came in, which is a good friend of mine, and he's like, "Do you have a hole in your pants?" And my wife's like, "Yes." He ripped them. He's like, "You can't wear those to the thing." I'm like, "It's to be fine. No one's gonna see them." He puts his finger in the hole and rips the entire bottom half of the leg off. He goes, "Now they'll see it." I'm like, "I can't believe you just did that." And so I'm sitting like, "I don't have another pair of pants to wear." And he's like, "Oh, it'll be fine." And so I just took a pair of scissors, cut the other pant leg to match, and then wore a suit that looked like I had shorts on to a employee event where we were recognizing employees of the month. So sometimes you go with the flow. Luckily, it was a after evening event where people were relaxed and it was funny. I would not recommend that if you were going to speak on stage, but
have a backup outfit. Do the Superman thing. Have your backup go bag in the car anyway, right? But please, guys, have a plan B. If really just always plan for the worst case, because it's gonna happen at some point. Be ready.
All right, Sajith, thank you for coming up here. We got your audio. Please, so first tell us about your experience when you went back to school and all the students stood up thinking you were a teacher. How did you respond to that? Oh, no. I really want to know the answer to that question, Houston.
I know you do. I don't know why. Listen, they're just not, they're not liking this today.
He had audio when he came back. I saw the audio there, but all right. Well,
this is the one downside that it is a little bit harder to get on stage for some, and guys, not all the time. This didn't happen for me. I was able to dive between two devices effortlessly. I can't say the word very quickly.
Oh, I hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Now we can hear you. Yay! Go ahead.
No, I can't seem to hear you all.
Oh, no. We can hear you. You can't hear us?
Either there's a lag.
There's a lag,
or
Felipe,
you can't hear
one moment. Just give it a second. We can hear you, Sajith. We're just going to pause.
If you
Take
are
deep breaths
listening
right now.
If you're listening through LinkedIn,
hello,
turn off your LinkedIn and only listen through Restream.
Oh my God. Okay.
Text him, Felipe.
This looks like a new challenge.
When you give it, guys, this is the funniest thing for me. When there's that delay and we're telling people
I
what
can't
to do
hear you.
stage,
I can't hear if you can hear me, so I'm going to keep quiet.
And then you have the delay. So guys, this is something as a host, you're going to have to warn people, maybe put it in the chat of Restream. There is a public private chat space where you can communicate that way, but that delay is not going to help if they're listening on LinkedIn Live.
All right, I just sent him a message. I don't know if you'll get it, but let's see, because if you can't hear us, Sajith, and there's a delay, we can hear you.
He should be catching up.
We'll see. Well, again, these are some of the glitches that we're working on. Luckily, look, we got some fun, tools that we've discovered with an intro video, with us being able to put our banner up there and showcase it like this. And we're also able to do the circles that Miss Houston loves. That reminds us of our wonderful LinkedIn audio days. And we can show our QR codes, whether it's the openings at PRB, that if you want to apply for a business development or somebody, we have some great opportunities. If you want to sign up and do a coaching call with Miss Melissa Houston, scan that QR code. if you want to make fun of my hair or check out some of the content that actually is valuable on Felipe's 5 YouTube channel, there's the QR code for that. And of course, if you want to check out the book that Nick got so many amazing authors to co-author together, A Message to My Family, check it out. There's some amazing stories there. And for those of you that are always sending us messages saying, thank you for the feedback, thank you for the advice, thank you for the help, we don't know how to thank you. A simple way is you can buy us a cup of coffee. Just, do a quick scan, $5 cup of coffee. We both love coffee. Yes, Miss Houston has special connections to Starbucks already, I know, but it's a way of just showing a small appreciation if that ever crosses your mind. With that being said, I don't see Sajith coming back up, Miss Houston, but I do think that, oh, wait.
Miss Houston. I hear this, guys, he makes me feel so official.
Wait.
But can I just say...
Wait, hold on. Sajith, you there? Sajith Kumar, are you there?
Are you singing on the show? What is this? Somebody Cagnoni, hurry, quick.
That will not be part of the show. There will not be any singing.
Hey, this is live right now. You can't delete our event. It's going to live there forever. You might change it on your YouTube, but that'd be silly. Just do it in. You already got the long hair. Sajith, Are you there, buddy? Where are you? We're going to have to teach him, I think. I thought he did live events before.
I don't think I've ever seen him.
StreamYard.
I don't think I've seen him do his own live, but he's been on live events before. He's not a pro like Aaron Gibson, obviously. So, well, listen, while we're waiting, last chance to say thank you to everyone who joined us. Want to recognize Adrian and Kenny. Oh, Kenny showed up. Look at that. Thank you for joining us. And Sajith.
Kenny said I was funny. Of course he showed up. He was here a long time ago.
That's right. You're right. My fault. Sorry, Kenny. And Adrian and Gregory and Henry and April and Christy and JL and Leslie. It's great to see you there as well. And Jamie, Paulette, Marcia, Aaron, so many great people. And Carolyn, of course, who just really was the catalyst for just some really meaningful conversation. If you're catching the end of this and you missed Carolyn's share, it really was something that if you're struggling with goals and you have a lot of life stuff happening, there's still things you can do. And she was very vulnerable and shared a lot, but also it sparked a lot of great conversation about things that a lot of people probably could possibly do if they're feeling the same way she did. So thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing. But Miss Houston, I don't see Sajith coming back up, so I think he gave up for this time. But Sajith,
we're going to make sure he gets a VIP pass to the next stage. Yeah, right? We're going to bring him in early.
Exactly, and we'll even do some testing in the green room. But and Gregory, thank you for the constant sports updates of Denver's up 7-0 on Buffalo. I will say, and I will turn on my video screen for this one last time here, because I do want to make sure, I don't like that one either. There we go. Because I want everyone to know that if the Washington Commanders win today, I'm going to be ecstatic. I'm going to be happy. And they're only a little bit closer to the Super Bowl. And if that actually happened, this team won Super Bowl like 3 times in a 10-year period growing up. And they were some of the fondest memories I had with my family and friends celebrating. So if I get a chance to experience that again with family and friends, it's something that brings people together and it's fun. And even the sports fans that aren't such sports fans, they have fun too. So I hope you all cheer for your favorite sports team. If you don't have one, cheer for the Commanders. We deserve
Go Lions.
You don't live in Detroit anymore.
Listen, I am the first generation Arizonan. Everybody else is from Michigan, and Arizona is the only team that beats Michigan's teams for me. So go Lions. They're killing it. I got to give a shout out to all these teams that are kind of underdogs just pulling forward. Guys, think about it. Think about all the fans that are cheering on the Lions this year, who cheered them on even last year when they weren't doing so hot in the year before and before and before, right? You don't have to win every year. I don't win every year. I always make progress every year. And that is a win in and of itself, but I don't win every goal. And so when we're wrapping up this goal show, let me just tell you, I'm not upset if you didn't complete them all. It takes more time sometimes, and that's okay. I actually use 3 goal lists. I have today, this week, and after. And I'm constantly running 3 to 5 topics on each of them all the time. That after list can get as big as it wants to, because when I'm done with today's list, ooh, I almost pulled out my headphones. When I'm done with today's list, I can pull into next week's. And then if I finish that, I can pull into the thereafter. But that's what you should be doing, is setting, SMART goals, like Felipe said. Break them down, get a timeline. That is the closest to a timeline you're going to get from me if I'm writing them down, is today, this week, or after. But that works for me. Get as minute to the detail as you need to, or just make some umbrella conversations happen in your brain to get started. You don't have to do perfect to start, right? And that's just something you got to remember. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't even have to be colorful. But I like it colorful. Felipe, what would you add to that? Let's say goodbye to our friends.
Well, I think that you ended it perfectly. And I just want to thank everyone for spending this Sunday with us. We hope you all got a lot of valuable information. We hope you had a little bit of fun. And we hope that you learned a little bit more about us, and keep coming back. We'll be back in 2 weeks again for another great topic. Again, please, in the comments, let us know if you're a team live or team replay. And also, if you have suggestions for topics you want us to cover in the future, go ahead and put them in the comments, and we will definitely add them to our list. We've had a number of people that have driven a lot of topics we covered because they added it to the list here. So don't be shy. And other than that, I think, Melissa, you have your Saturday coffee chat coming up on Saturday. I have my workplace wellness hour on next Monday, and then we'll be back here that following Sunday, right?
Yep, and that's it. And guys, thank you for making us part of your LinkedIn learning experience. And I say experience because it's not part of their platform yet. We could always do that. Maybe Felipe one day do that thing where we become part of that platform. But you are here to learn and absorb and take notes and laugh and have fun and relax. And I'm glad you're doing all of those things, because a good to-do list does include rest. And so tell us why you're here. What did you get most today? Was it just rest? Were you productive while we talked? You cleaned? What did you do? I want to know. But Felipe, thank you for this. I love the promo stuff you did. I got to give him full credit, guys. All of the visuals are him. He's a whiz in Canva. So if you need some tips or something.
Kudos to you for the idea. It was your brainchild that you're like, we should have a intro video, and you thought about bringing all our images together. So you actually spawned the idea. So it's teamwork, my friend. We do it together.
Well, thank you. Listen, I like to plant seeds on ideas, guys. I let you do the work. That's kind of what a good coach does. Right there. All right, bye, guys. That's me picking. I know. I had to throw my elbow. Kenny was waiting. He waited the whole show.
I did wait. I'm going to Home Depot to buy some of my own seeds so I can do some planting in her garden, because Miss Houston, I don't want to have a problem, so you're getting to work too. So, all right.
I got to tell you, though, I'm going to send you before and afters of these photos. Omar, the motivator, asked me to watch one spider plant for him. That one spider plant has become 20, and each of those plants has probably 15, 20 babies on them. I have 100 or so spider plants, and I need to thin this out because I can't maintain this. And so,
hey, send one up my way. I'll take one.
Oh, maybe. Who knows how to ship a plant? Somebody leave that in the comments.
Go to YouTube University and figure it out.
Felipe, right. I want them to leave the comment for your reach.
All right.
So help Felipe out. Leave it in the comments for me to find later. I'll thank you. And we'll just double the reach so somebody else can find this messaging.
And let us know if you would like a spider plant too. If she has enough, she might even send one to you. You never know.
Oh, maybe just for coaching clients. I thought about gifting one for each new coaching client, actually. I thought about it, right?
That's a nice idea.
Let it grow with them so they remember it does take time sometimes to see it to fruition.
All right, everyone. Well, listen, take the rest of the day, set some goals for yourself, small, large, whatever, practice it, and try to take some time for some self-care, and come back for some careers, chaos, and coaching in 2 weeks. Until then, we'll see you soon. Adios, everyone.
Bye, guys.